I do have an email.
Oh,
Just I've got an email I want to start out with because I think this was on the Drive-Thru not long ago. So I'm trying to keep, instead of the experience, I'm trying to keep these these shows straight. But we talked about, for whatever reason, I know it was a musical submission on the Drive-Thru because here it is in the email. Nick writes, "Dear Jim, up until a few weeks ago, your dislike of rap was an accepted fact. But then, out of the blue, you and Brian were vetting a musical submission that was put to the tune Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang. Afterwards, you spontaneously dropped 16 bars. I'm not sure I know nothing about Birth and No Bars, but dropped 16 bars from the original version of this song. I'm going to need an explanation on how you can profess to not like rap and then be able to recite 16 bars from a 40-year-old rap song. Sincerely, Nick." Doesn't everybody know Rapper's Delight by heart?
not everyone, but I think a lot of people of a certain age group, because it was the first rap song to go to number one, I believe.
Well, it was the first rap. I don't think it made number one, but it was the first rap song in effect. If you want to go, I mean, there's obviously, we can go through a long and convoluted discography, but mainstream, that would be the first rap song. And not only did they see, here's the thing. I hate what rap became. It's sort of like wrestling. I hate what rap became, but it started out as so much fun. This fucking song comes on the radio in 79, right? Yeah. And it's got the fucking Chic Good Times. It's got that. And these guys are having fun. It was before rap turned into screaming and yelling and mad and cussing and shooting and cutting everyone and fucking those bitches and all that stuff, right? It was a good music and these guys are having fun. And I used to be able to, because we got, me and Bolin, of course. Actually, I bought it and then he taped it from me, but we got the 12-inch single. It was like 13 minutes long. And at one point, I could do the whole thing in goddamn order because we taped it off and you'd play it in the car on road trips, going to fucking matches, whatever. And now I can do pieces of it. I can't do it, in order start to finish anymore like I can the long version of American Pie, which someday I'll win some money on. But, that's the reason why hip hop was named hip hop, because the fucking bridge or whatever they call it, to the hip, the hop, the hip, the hip, 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 hoppy, don't stop rocking to the bang, bang, boogie, up, jump to boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat, or whatever the fuck, right?
Well, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and nobody knew what the title of the song was, so they would go in the record store and say, "Can you give me that hip hop song?" And that's where it came from.
You see, a couple things. One is, I just looked it up. I was actually wrong. It was I think it was the first rap song to get into the top 40. Believe it or not, do you know what the first rap song to go to number one was? I know this off the top of my head. Do you know what it
Rapture.
was? Rapture by Blondie, which you listen back to it now, it's like, I can't believe people thought this was rap, but Blondie Blondie also had a reggae song go to number one. They had a rock song go to number one.
The Tide is High.
The disco song go to number one. So really remarkable band. But the thing about Rapper's Delight, there's a really great book that came out a few years back called The Big Payback, which is the history of hip hop, from the very beginning to, whatever, a few years back. But it's a remarkably written book. It's really, really good. Amazing stories. A lot of early Rick Rubin stuff, if you ever want to know about the man behind Smoky Mountain Wrestling. But almost all the lyrics in that song, well, I shouldn't say almost all, a good portion of those lyrics, like hip hop, the hip, that was taken from local DJs in New York.
Yes.
Who were doing that in between tracks, and that's kind of what influenced that song, which influenced everything else in rap.
Okay, Mr. New York music scene, what was the young teenage DJ's name that had the first Bronx basement party in 1973 where he did do rhyming in between the songs over the Zabada?
You're not talking about, well, let's see. There's Africa Bambaataa, there's Kool Herc.
Yo, there you go. Kool Herc. He was the first one.
Okay.
That is a trivia note that I got from somewhere.
How do you know that?
Because I retain a lot of useless knowledge, and I've studied and read all these books on entertainment in all genres since I was fucking 9 years old, and have that massive library downstairs, which is why that I understand things as related to the entertainment business and the performance and business aspect because I studied it even before I got into wrestling. But let me ask you this question, Brian.
Yes.
Did you ever go over to a friend's house to eat and the food just ain't no good? The macaroni's soggy, the peas are mushy, and the chicken tastes like wood, and you try to play it off like you think you can by saying that you already ate, but your friend says, Ma, he's just being polite, and she piles some more on your plate?
No, that typically doesn't happen to me.
Well, if it ever does, just remember you've got... I'm a CASANOVA and the rest is FLY. I go by the code of the Doctor of Love, and these reasons I'll tell you why. I'm 6'1" and I'm tons of fun and I dress to a T. I got more moves than Muhammad Ali, and I rap so viciously.
Okay, let me ask you this, couple things. First of all, let me just say the lyric that resonates the most with me, that reminds me of growing up in New York, is I got a color TV so I can see the Knicks play basketball. That line, for whatever reason, that line, whatever, it makes me feel nice. But
right in the taint, right where your New York is located, right in the perineum.
I don't know about that, but who decided when you had to replace the Junkyard Dog and you bring in George Wells? Yes. Who decided to give him the name Master G from a song that had come out 5 years earlier and have him come out to Rapper's Delight? That was his entrance music. Whose decision was that? It seems like Bill Watts wouldn't be on that. Was it Joel Watts? Who would have?
Well, knowing the principles involved, but not knowing the exact story, it can be something as similar as, all right, we've got to replace the dog with another black baby face. And we need to give him the dog flavor, but change it up. Joel, what's that stuff they're playing? Rap? And Joel, and of course, George Wells is a black man, but he's also in his mid-40s. He was probably still listening to fucking, Al Green or whatever. So they got a rap song that they thought people would know, that they could also play on television, because by that point, some of the shit you couldn't play on TV. It was just a bunch of fucking, rap was new. Nobody got it yet. At that time, not all the guys were even coming out to music of any kind. It was just. And also, to be honest, Louisiana, when we moved there in Christmas of '83, the hottest band on Louisiana radio was the Eagles. Because I remember Dennis Condrey saying at least once a fucking trip. Because we didn't have satellite radio back then. I had a cassette, right? But the radio, Dennis Condrey would say once every trip, the Eagles are the hottest band in this fucking state. They are 5 years behind the times here.
Yeah, they broke up in like 1980, didn't they?
Yes, exactly. That's the point of the thing. It was, and there was no such thing as classic rock stations then, because it was still classic. It was just, that was what all the Louisiana stations were playing. This was not a goddamn culturally fucking on the edge area. So, yeah, Rapper's Delight for a fucking middle-aged ex-football player in his 40s, picked out by the, overly white son of a 50-year-old white promoter. And Bill Dundee was the booker. So I'm sure he could have Timey Kangaroo Down Sport. He didn't know what the fuck rap was.
Were we supposed to think that Master G in the ring was the Master G?
No, they never said that, and I don't. I got to be honest with you. That's the thing is, did-a-doom, doom, doom, did-a-doom, doom, 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 doom. It kind of sounded like, Dog's thing, but but Master G wasn't going to do it anyway. And there you go.
Well, there you go. It was your letter.
Well, don't make me take the fucking blame. I thought you were talking about the whole goddamn Master G thing.
You should get this book. You would actually really enjoy this book. It's about the business of hip hop as well as the history of it. And it is one of the best books on the music business I've ever read in my life. It's fantastic.
But you know what?
The Big Payback.
Go ahead. The Big Payback. And I'll tell you something. In the music business is one of the more crooked businesses. And we've established this. There's been Hitmen was another great book on the music business. where they talked about the at the time the mob, organized crime, was heavily involved in the cutout records and the stuff that mysteriously got lost from the manufacturer to the distributors and things and such. There's always crooks